Hello and welcome to Volleyball Late, our live post-game show brought to you by Alumni Hall and a proud part of the I-80 Club. Tonight, breaking down Nebraska's 5-set win over Creighton, the third time in the last 4 years that this I-80 in-state rivalry has gone to 5 sets. I'm Jeff Sheldon, and of course, live from CHI Health Center. His background is real, mine is not.
I'm Lincoln Arneal. Hi, everyone. Welcome to our Volleyball Late show. So glad to be here.
Absolutely. And we have opened this show up to everyone tonight. We thought the Nebraska-Creighton rivalry is so big. We want to give everyone a chance to check out Volleyball Late. And I think we picked a good match to do it through. A 5-set thriller where Nebraska survived, improved to 24-0 all-time against Creighton, although not without some struggles, not without some drama. Nebraska, a glorious mess through a good chunk of this match. And Creighton really, Lincoln, impressed me with their play as well, making some huge swings when it mattered, but Nebraska just able to outlast them in 5. We're going to break it all down for you, go through numbers, read your comments and your questions. We've got them already coming in. Bayamon Wade, a proud I-80 Club member, says, "Go Big Red," and we're gonna break down all of it. First, we're going to say thank you to our friends at Alumni Hall who are sponsoring Volleyball Late and all the Volleyball State episodes this fall. They're the ultimate Husker shopping destination. There's 2 locations in Lincoln, downtown at 11th and P, and also down at South Point Pavilions, 27th and Pine Lake Road. We're going to save you 15% off all your Husker apparel. When you go in the store, just tell them you're a Volleyball State listener, and they'll give you a 15% discount. Or if you're shopping online from anywhere, anytime, alumnihall.com, just use the promo code VolleyballState, all one word, and that will save you 15%. Lincoln, I guess maybe the place to start is another attendance record. And
yes.
I think Nebraska as a state and as a volleyball community has to feel really proud that it came in this rivalry. 17,675 fans watched it at CHI Health Center tonight, which is a new NCAA indoor regular season record.
Enough qualifiers in there. Yeah. Thanks for that Memorial Stadium match. We'll always have to say indoor record too. But this broke the old record that Wisconsin and Marquette set a couple of years ago when they played at the Fiserv Forum in Milwaukee. That was just over 17,000. It was a fun atmosphere too. Hopefully it came across for those that weren't here on TV, especially at the end of that 4th set too. You had the dueling "Go Big Red," "Let's Go Jays" chant. It was loud. It was a lot of fun there too, but the crowd showed up and they were treated to quite the match.
Absolutely. We've got questions already coming in. Franny McDermott wants to know, can you pinpoint where the struggles were coming from? We're going to get to that all very soon. I think part of it was on Nebraska's side of the net, but Creighton really played well in stretches, I thought, and put some pressure on Nebraska and didn't bail out Nebraska until a little bit in game 5. And, when the other team's keeping the ball in and making you make plays, like you got to make the plays or else you're going to look kind of rough.
Yeah. I thought if you were talking about one of the big things that Creighton did well is they served well, I thought too. You and I were texting during the match too. Creighton did finish with 15 service errors, but also had 7 aces. And we're just serving tough when they got it over and forced Nebraska to play out of system a little bit too. So I think Brian Rosen is going to be willing to live with those 15 errors too, based on what they were able to do to Nebraska's offense at times.
Yeah, and I noticed this from the very beginning, and this is part of a season-long pattern I'm now seeing. Nebraska's not a super strong serving team. We're not talking about aces and errors. We're talking about getting the other team out of system. And Creighton just dimed passes almost all night until Virginia Adriano showed up in game 3. But Creighton was just in system all night. Nebraska's got to find a way to put pressure on other teams from the service line because they're not elite enough in a couple other areas where you can just get away with it. And so we'll talk about that in just a little bit. I do, Lincoln, want to start with going over some top-line numbers, top performers from the match. Harper Murray, once again, a really solid showing, 17 kills, 10 digs, and 3 blocks. I thought, she had some chances to step up late in game 4 and really didn't when both of Nebraska's starting outside hitters kind of had their struggles. But Nebraska ends up getting it done. Virginia Adriano, coming out party for her, especially in game 3. 13 kills. She had 7 of them in the 3rd set and a pair of aces.
On 7 swings, too. Let's note that. Yeah. 7 kills on 7 swings in that 3rd set.
Went 7 for 7 in game 3 and helped Nebraska take a 2-1 lead. Andy Jackson, had some struggles on the night, but came through when it mattered. 13 kills and 4 blocks. She ended up hitting 400. So maybe it's just a couple of those errors that stick out in my mind. She only had 3 of them on the night. And then Taylor Landfair, again, another player who I feel like I notice her errors maybe more than her big kills. She did finish with 12. She had most of them in the first half of the match. I think her final kill in the match came at 18-18 in game 4. Didn't have one in game 5, according to my numbers, but 12 kills on the match, 2 blocks. So Nebraska was really balanced. Huskers actually with 15 more kills than Creighton in this match, 66-49. The Jays with 15 service errors. I think that's kind of a reflection of Nebraska won 3 not super tight sets, and then the Jays won 2 and 4, which were both pretty tight.
Yeah, I mean, you want to look at hitting percentage numbers by the 3 sets that Nebraska won. Nebraska hit 306 in the first, 353 in the third, and 438 in the fifth. So, I mean, you're going to win a lot of sets, and then they hit 118 and 150 in the 2 sets. So Nebraska was high air, gave Creighton a few more points, and the Blue Jays were able to capitalize on that. But look at the Blue Jays too. I mean, Ava Martin led them with 16 kills. She hit 240 for the match. Kara Reinhardt, the middle blocker, she had 11 kills on 19 swings to go with 6 blocks. And Jaya Johnson at opposite, she had 9 kills for Creighton. So not as many, like you said, they only had 49 kills as a team, but they were opportunistic. And I was really impressed with what Creighton was able to do at the end of the 4th set. We can talk about that a little bit later too, but what they were able to do when the match was on the line and they needed to pull that out, they did.
Yeah, absolutely. And, Ava Martin, I think, continues to really impress me. Brian Rosen talked about her in our interview with him this past weekend. She was putting away balls. She knows how to tool blockers. She knows how to hit that 4-to-4 shot where it's that sharp cross court. She buried that a couple times. And you're like, if you're a Nebraska fan, it's like, can you come down to Lincoln and teach a couple of our outsides how to put that shot away? Another player I was super impressed with on the Creighton side, they've got themselves a setter. And I feel like every year Creighton has a good setter. They've gone in the transfer portal for one. A couple of the last times that they had a setter, I know their setter before Kendra Waite was also a transfer, but Analia Mater from Cal is an outstanding setter, and I thought she put them in great positions all night. Probably was outplayed Nebraska setter on the other side, at least as far as offensively went. Bergen Riley had another great match. I think she led everyone in digs. She had 19 digs on the night, but Creighton has a lot to be proud of tonight. They didn't back down from the moment, and there was a time there in game 4 when I'm sitting here thinking what we're going to be talking about is this is the first time all year that Nebraska seems like maybe the moment was a little bit too big for them, but then came game 5.
Yeah. You want to go step by step? How do you want to tackle this?
Yeah. Let's start in game 1. I think I've got it. It was 10-10, and then Nebraska sort of pulled away. But even then, there were early signs that Creighton was passing well. All right, I see Brandon does not agree with my comment that Nebraska had service pressure on Creighton. Then let's give Creighton's passers credit for keeping them in system. But it seemed like Creighton was just a little bit more in system from the start, but Nebraska was able to find their groove about midway through game 1.
Yeah, there's a lot of it. I think there was Mater had an ace on the first point of the match, and then there was 13 side outs of that. So I think
she aced Sigler on the first point of the match and aced her again on the first point of game 5. Like, how many dirty aces did Creighton have tonight? They had like 4 or 5.
They had another one that hit the tape, and it was Nora Wirtz that had that to start the 5th set too. And she had one. Creighton also had one that hit the tape and then rolled over too. So again, they had 7 aces there too. But to go back to the first set too, I think like you said, Andy Jackson also had the first kill on Nebraska's serve, 8-7. But it was a 4-1 run. Jackson kill had Hayes. She struggled a bit too. I think she didn't have her first kill until midway through the second set too. Just a freshman outside hitter. She finished hitting the night negative. And if Creighton would have gotten just a little bit more of that OH2 or the L2, they would have been in a lot better position. But she struggled a bit to find windows to hit.
Yeah, Abby Hayes is, I think, who you're talking about, the player that hit negative. It's weird because the kills that she had jumped out to me, not so much the errors. She was able to bury a couple shots down the line. We were like, wow, that's a really mature swing. She didn't get blocked. Hit to the deep corner. Not a shot I saw Nebraska's outsides really hitting a lot outside of a couple of Harper Murray swings. But yeah, Nebraska pulls away late or about midway through game 1. And then came game 2, which was really kind of a mess. I was surprised to see this from Nebraska. I tweeted during the match about a dozen things that are just really aggravating seemed to happen to Nebraska in game two. Not only did they give up a couple aces, you had players like running into each other. Nebraska hit 118 in the set with 4 service errors of their own. Huskers pulled it to within 22-21 in game two, and then had a net serve themselves, and then got aced, and then had another bad pass. It's just like Nebraska seemed to struggle to stay in system through a lot of tonight.
I mean, I think it was slightly impressive for Nebraska to even get back into the match too, because they were down 17-12 at 1.2. And like you said, got within 1 point at 22-21. But that was a lot of Harper Murray and Taylor Lanford. That's where they kind of really said, if we're going to do this, we're going to get back. And a lot of out of system kills too as well. So Olivia Malk finished with 7 assists on the night too. So they were able to do that. But again, just that was the moment was too big too, with Choboy hit into the service net, and then Destiny Dam Simpson pulled out an ace as well too. So Nebraska, for as bad as they played, to have a chance to win it, you had to feel okay.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think I'm going to sit here and I'm going to name some areas where I think Nebraska needs to improve. And, V-Ball 1423 does not agree with my comment that Nebraska was a mess. Like, hey, they won the match despite playing less than their best. Let's put it that way.
I think there were stretches, especially in that second set, where Nebraska didn't look that they were sharp and so I think you'll be able to fix it throughout the course of the match. I think Nebraska did play overall better than Creighton. I will give them that for sure.
Absolutely. And let's Nebraska deserved to win this match. They had way more kills. They out executed Creighton by a lot in game 5, the most important set. It's just like, what I was thinking late in the match is like Creighton's not an elite team this year. They're a very good team. They're not as good as they were last year. And if this Nebraska team tonight was playing last year's Creighton team, I don't know that the result goes the same way. But Nebraska's going to run into these elite teams, right? They're going to play Minnesota, Wisconsin, Penn State, and then the postseason, whoever they run up to there. So you want to see a little bit better execution. We've been talking a little bit about out of system play. Lincoln, what did you think of Nebraska's out of system play tonight?
I thought, they picked their moments, and I thought they had some big swings out of system. I mean, Bergen Riley, she finished with 43 assists too, so they had 23 kills that came from non-Bergen Riley or out of system. So I thought overpasses were a big one. As again, we talked for the second straight match, we talked about overpasses were big, and I thought Olivia Malk did a great job too, and Lainey Choboy also had Harper Murray, she had 4 assists too. So I thought they did a decent enough job out of system too. And I thought they were a lot more aggressive than they had been in the past too, and knew when to send over a free ball when they need to. So I thought Nebraska was decent out of system. It wasn't a weak point of the match.
We've talked a lot about the libero battle the first couple weeks of the season. Olivia Malk got the start tonight in place of Lainey Choboy. And the factors that go into being a libero, right, is your serve receive and your defense are the top two. One that I think a lot of people overlook, and I want to make sure we don't, is out of system setting. Because Bergen Riley with 19 digs means somebody else is taking the second contact a lot of time. And that's going to be a factor probably in which of those two players wins the battle long term, is who can put up hittable balls out of system. And that was one area I thought Creighton did really good. I was shocked by some of the later in the match when Nebraska started serving tougher and the first contact for Creighton wasn't very good. They were able to bump set some incredible balls to give themselves a good shot to get out of system, and they were able to put some of those away. So that's just something to keep an eye on as the season goes along, is which of those liberos gives you better out of system setting.
Yeah, let's go to the third set too. We've already kind of teased it a bit too, but this was it was tight early on. Nebraska was up 10-8, and that's when Virginia Adriano took over 2 back-to-back kills. This is with Malk serving too. Then a bad set. Then Jackson slams home an overpass off a Malk serve, and then Creighton does get a side out too, and then Adriano gets a kill and goes back and serve, gets an overpass kill from Murray. Adriano gets and then it kind of caps it off with an ace too. So it's a 9-1 run that really blew open, and it all was keyed on Virginia Adriano too, who we talked to her post game too, and she talked about how she's a bundle of nerves at time too. So I think that to get that kind of performance in this environment on this stage when Nebraska needed someone to step up is a really big moment for her. we'll see how it goes going forward too. But she needed that performance tonight.
Well, and Nebraska needs kills out of their opposite hitter position too. So look, this was a really great coming out party for Adriano. Nebraska hit 353 in game 3, which I believe was their best offensive set. No, they hit 438 in game 5. Excuse me. But if Nebraska can make sure that both middles are firing in the same match, and then get the opposite position going too. I mean, this could be such a tough offense to stop if they can kind of stay out of their own way, which did not happen, I think, midway through game 4. Let's move there. Nebraska actually led 15-11, and if Nebraska had ended up losing this match, one of the key points of that match was going to end up being that next rally when Huskers led 15-11 in game 4. They had a chance to go up 16-11 on an Andy Jackson slide. It looked like maybe the set was a little bit low in transition, but she hit it right to a Creighton defender. Creighton dug it and converted it to pull within 15-12. And the Creighton comeback was then on. And Nebraska got kind of high error near the end of that set.
Yeah. I mean, that was after the media timeout. It really kind of changed it. There were a number of times where I thought Creighton did a good job of digging Andy Jackson's slide too. I mean, those things are hard to do. And if she doesn't get on top of it enough, it hits that opposite corner, and Creighton was ready in position for that too, or they got a block touch to slow it up for the net too. But yeah, they came back. Nebraska again had a chance to really seize it at 22-20. Creighton calls a timeout, and this is the loud part of the whole match too. That's Hayes delivered a kill. Andy Jackson had a hitting error too. Harper Murray had a hitting error too. So this is the
Landfair hit another one of those 4-4 shots wide, I think.
Wide, yeah.
And Nebraska just could not keep balls in near the end of game 4. And that's something, we've seen from time to time from Andy Jackson this year is on those slides. If the set isn't high enough, she's one thing I'd like to see her improve is she's got to keep those in. Whether or not they go for kills, like don't hit them out of bounds and maybe try to go do a deeper corner on them. But, she came back and drilled a couple in game 5. But Nebraska just got high air at the end of game 4 and give Creighton credit. They were able to put balls away. Yeah,
of Creighton's final 6 points, 3 hitting errors for Nebraska, a service error too, and Martin and Hayes had kills. Martin had the kill to send the match into the 5th set. So let's jump there if you want to.
Yeah, absolutely. Game 5 sort of started off like the beginning of the match. Nebraska got aced twice to start the 5th set. Never really what you want to see from your team, including another one of those dirty aces. And if you're sitting here going, what does that mean? It's when the serve hits the top of the tape and just trickles over and there's really nothing you can do about it. Yeah. Nebraska was the victim of one of those. But, this was not Taraya Sigler's, I'd say, strongest match. She was aced a couple times. I think had one swing from the back row, and that was an error.
It was an error.
So, Creighton kind of knew who they wanted to target in serve receive, but, give Nebraska credit. They rebound with a 7-2 run after falling behind 2-0, and then never really are threatened the rest of the 5th.
No, and the key thing of that whole 5th set too was Nebraska started to tip the ball a lot more too. We asked Danny about this in the post. I mean, Danny's big phrase is rip it, don't tip it too. But Adriano had a tip, and during that big 3-0 run, or as part of a 4-0 run, all 4 of their points came via the tip too. One of them was Creighton over dug and sent over the end line. But it's all that, and then Andy Jackson really emphasized that was one of her down slide hits too. And I mean that really kind of felt like Nebraska had control. I mean, Creighton did get it back to. But back to 10-8. This was another key point that I had after Creighton got to 10-8 too. Nebraska struggled to serve and sent over a free ball, but Creighton missed and Nadam Simpson hit an error too. So I thought that was a big key moment where Creighton had an opportunity to.
That was the play. That was the play where Olivia Mauk kind of earned the libero jersey for this match. I thought, right?
Yeah.
Like Nebraska had a poor pass on a serve, and Mauk laid out with one arm to keep it up off the floor, and Nebraska sent it back. And Creighton felt like they had been winning those points throughout the match, and Nebraska was given a huge break when Destinini Dam Simpson put it in the net. But, I think when Creighton looks back at the film of Game 5, they're going to see a couple balls that they let drop that they're like, we did not let those drop earlier in the match. And that's what was so frustrating, I think you could tell from Nebraska about Creighton is Creighton scrambled outstanding defensively and just would not let balls drop throughout the match. And I don't know if fatigue was part of it or just Nebraska's off-speed stuff kept him off balance, but you saw some tips fall, and give Rebecca Alec credit too. She only had 4 kills in the first 4 sets and had 3 in game 5. And I don't think any of them were hammers, but she had the right touch and the right discipline to get those balls to fall in the 5th set, including the one on match point.
Yeah. So I mean, I don't know. It seemed to me like Creighton was feeding off of the environment too, and wanted to feel the energy that Nebraska was going to rip away too, because you're jacked up, you want to swing away too, and they really sold out in the block, and the tips were there for the having, and Nebraska took advantage of that too. The other key point is after Nebraska got that free ball conversion too, really tough serve, Harper Murray with another overpass kill. So I think that to me was like it's over at this point.
Yeah, absolutely. So Nebraska pulls it out in 5 in front of 17,600. We have a question from Daniel, who I know is a I-80 Club member and has commented on our last couple shows. Probably a lot of players, or excuse me, a lot of listeners wondering this. Says Nebraska did play top-tier teams during the ABCA for serve and looked super strong. Danny told the media it wasn't a fluke. Do you think Nebraska's played at that level since that opening weekend? I would answer that in stretches they have.
Yeah.
I don't think they played at that level tonight. I don't think they served as well as maybe they did against Pitt and Stanford. And, I think they're still looking for another. I don't think the middles were as efficient tonight. Maybe I'm just thinking of Alec than as they were on that opening weekend. But again, Nebraska got the win on a night where they did not play their best.
Yeah, and I think the passing woes really took out. I mean, Nebraska tried to run a slide a lot more too, but the quick sets to the middles weren't there tonight, and that's kind of a result of that. I agree with you that I think for stretches Nebraska have, but I don't think they've played as complete of match since that Stanford match. I mean, maybe the final three sets against Kentucky, but those were pretty elite too. But they had stretch even against this past weekend against Utah and Grand Canyon. There were Nebraska sleptwalk through the first set against Utah. But again, then they allowed 8 points too. So they've had moments, but they haven't had a full opening serve to final point domination like they had against that first weekend.
Lincoln, let me give you one good number and one bad number from this match from the Nebraska perspective. Creighton was 7 aces tonight, which ties Pitt in the season opener for the season high by a Nebraska opponent. Creighton did not have any big top spin jump servers like Olivia Babcock, but I felt like they did serve really tough, and they served smart. Like they knew who to target, and I think they were serving some gaps as well. So that's the bad number if you're Nebraska. The good number is Creighton hit 173 offensively. Nebraska still has not allowed an opponent to hit over 200. In fact, as I'm looking at my numbers here, Creighton's 173 was a season high that Nebraska allowed. So on the season, Nebraska's opponents are only hitting 110 on the season.
Well, yeah, that's Brian Rosen said that in the postgame press conference. He was proud of the fact that they hit 173 because I think opponents had been hitting 100 against Nebraska coming into this match too. So Creighton liked that. I mean, they knew that Nebraska's defense was going to be tough too. And like you said, Bergen Riley, 19 digs, Olivia Mauch had 16, Harper Murray had 10 too. So it was a team effort there.
But Nebraska only 7 blocks in a 5-set match. Does that surprise you? Creighton actually outblocked Nebraska 8-7. So that means Nebraska is digging a lot of balls. Nebraska with 15 more digs in the match than Creighton, 69 before. So Nebraska still has that defensive backbone to be in matches even when their offense isn't firing on all cylinders.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I'd be interested to see if we get the block touch matches. Talking about block touches, I mean, Nebraska wasn't getting a lot of points. They got a few really big ones, I thought, during the match too, when they needed it or to shut down the Creighton offense. But yeah, I think Creighton did outblock them 8-7 throughout the course of the match.
So for those of you who have never heard of Volleyball Late before, this isn't a super long show. We're not going to talk about this match for an hour. In fact, I was a little late starting our timer. So Lincoln, I have about 2 minutes left because I know you got to run and write something. I want to try to get something written yet tonight. So just kind of any final thoughts from you before we go into a close and tell people when we're coming back.
Yeah, I thought this was Nebraska will feel good that they won this match too. I think that's the overall, as much as we nitpick and find things flaws that they had throughout the course of the match too. Nebraska's going to feel good that they won this match. They have one more left in non-con to finish that one out too. But Nebraska won in front of the largest indoor regular season crowd. So I think
do they
overall,
hold like every attendance record now? I mean, obviously outdoor, but like regular season indoor. I forget what the postseason indoor record is. It has to be a Final Four.
yeah, it's a Final
somewhere.
Four. I
And
think
Nebraska probably played in it.
well, if it was last year, I don't know if I can't remember if last year's final eclipsed at Louisville, if that eclipsed the semifinals. So that may be the only caveat that they don't have. Or I don't know if Kansas City still has that record. I forget off the top of my head. I'll look it up, read my article. It'll have it in it.
Just assume that Nebraska has like every attendance record. So yeah, 17,600 and sorry, I lost my notes. 675 at CHI Health Center. So kudos to everyone who came out to that match. Nebraska's back at home on Saturday. Now this is a late start. This is an 8 p.m. Central start against Arizona, who's playing UTEP tonight. And I feel like the last I saw, they were struggling with that. But that's Nebraska's non-conference finale because Big Ten play opens next week against Michigan. We are not doing a volleyball late on Saturday after Nebraska Arizona.
I mean, a volleyball late.
Yeah, exactly. And I feel like this is late, but we're going to come back on Sunday for our regular 7 p.m. show. If you're a I-80 Club Patreon subscriber, you get to join that for free. You get to do like V-Ball 1423 and Brandon and Daniel and all these folks are doing tonight, commenting on the show, asking your questions during the show. You get access to the I-80 Club Discord server. You get newsletters every week from us and bonus content when we find time to do it. All that for just $5 a month. If you go to patreon.com/I80 Club, that's patreon.com/I80 Club, just $5 a month. We'll make you a member and make you part of the Volleyball State and Volleyball Late communities.
Yep. Yeah. So that's check out our show, listen to that. Thanks for listening. Be sure to read Jeff and I's article at Husker Max later tonight. And
that's the alarm. That's the official timer.
Thank you for watching, and we'll talk to you again Sunday night.
All right. Thanks, Alumni Hall. Go to volleyballstate.com to find everything. Appreciate you all joining us and have a wonderful evening.